it's important to kind of be overwhelmed and acknowledge, like, I'm overwhelmed right now, and I need to step back, and I need to go for a walk, or I need to go on a day break, or like take a day off. And it's good to acknowledge that's your threshold, and journaling and writing things down and working out like why you got into that state of overwhelm is really important, because what will happen is you'll look at it in 6 months' time, and that level of overwhelm, you'll be working like just above it in your daily life, and then you just need to keep pushing that bar so you get better and better. It's like learning to run, I guess. Like, you don't go out and run a marathon on your first day. And so building the business it's all about kind of pushing yourself and hitting those kind of next steps and surrounding yourself by awesome people. So one of the best things that I got out of the pitch last year was meeting Holly from Financial, who came second in the final, and she has been a real kind of insight for me into kind of a different business and really great connections. And going to these events are areas where you can definitely meet lots of people. As for kind of like the day-to-day overwhelm, just kind of work out what it is that made you get there and try make it not happen again, and build that resilience and that threshold, because that's all running a business is. It's resilience. Everyone with a good idea can be a successful business person as long as they just keep following it through and keep going forward. It's when you kind of stop and look back and you realize that I've grown significantly. So they announced the Great British Entrepreneur Awards yesterday, and this is the second time I've been listed as a food and drink entrepreneur of the year. And I remember the first time I was watching the videos like on tenterhooks, like, oh my god, this is the biggest thing in my life ever, I have to get it. And it was such a massive feeling of overwhelm when I got it in 2019, and then you're looking at 2020, and then you're looking at it 2 years later, and I was sat on the tube reading the Metro, and I saw my name as a nominee, and it's like I didn't even know they were announcing it today. And it's like that change in 2 years is so massive, and it happens very quickly. And I bet like Lauren probably never thought she'd get into Jiffy, and it would have happened one day and it would have been the best thing ever. But now like Lauren's next thing is going to be even better, and she'll be looking at Jiffy in 10 years time as the start of something that's massive. And even these like small wins, it's good to acknowledge the small wins and take time to look back. And I think journaling's a really great way of appreciating how far you've come and giving yourself some time. And especially with the Gordon Ramsay TV show, I was like extremely overwhelmed when that all happened. And actually the kind of recovery from that is all about, it's like, what have I got out of this experience? And by measuring things and kind of appreciating what you have, it helps drive you forward to like, what am I going to do next? So that's kind of how I deal with it.
Fantastic, thanks, Steph. We had a few people join us a bit late there, so I'm just going to recap some of the stuff we've talked about. So today is all about productivity, and we are being supported by our friends at Fiverr, who are a platform where you can access talent for your business. As I mentioned earlier, we are running a competition with them at the moment where you can win £1,000 to spend on talent for your business on their platform. So if you want to win that money for your business, then you just share what you would spend it on your social channels, a 20 to 30 second clip on either your personal or your business channels, and you have till the 5th of July to enter that competition. So I just wanted to let people know who joined us a little bit late there. Also, we've been talking to Lauren, who's the founder of Oatsu, and is a brand that has been built from the ground up as a one-person band. Similar story with Steph from Chu Lo drinks, and they're both talking to us today about how they kind of deal with feelings of overwhelm and productivity in those early stages of starting a business. So we've covered things like working in workspaces, kind of, making sure you keep a lot of lists, working, when you're most productive, and kind of being always aware of like what the next step is, as you've heard Steph talking about there, which is fantastic. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you kind of set goals now. So set goals to kind of supercharge that growth, because everyone kind of wants their business to grow, and especially at the beginning, things grow quite quickly. So Lauren, you've experienced that. Your business has grown quite quickly. So can you tell us about some of the kind of growth goals that you've set and how you've gone about setting and achieving those goals?
Okay, I'm unmuted. Yeah, so I like to have a sit down at the beginning of the year, and I like to think about where I would like the business to go like that year and what my goals are going to be. So a lot of those goals are usually focused around like securing listings, because I really want my overnight oats to be available in supermarkets and in independent stores and gyms, etc. So I like to make a list of the places that I'd like to be, and then I always keep a lookout for events where buyers are speaking, because I find that it's just really nice to put a face to a name and to hear from them firsthand, like what kind of products they're looking for, what kind of values of the businesses they want. And they'll just kind of give it a deeper insight than you might see if you're applying through their website, for example. So for example, Bread and Jam, they have an annual summit like festival, and you can apply there as well to pitch to all different retailers, of like all different supermarkets, wholesale, distributors. So I definitely recommend, if you're a food and drink brand, applying to pitch there. So I was able to pitch to, I think, Harrods, Getir and Ocado through that last year, which is fantastic, and got conversations going. And then they've also kind of got events through the year, not just their annual like festival, but talks. So recently there was a talk with a Selfridges buyer, and I was able to speak to him, and then he put me in touch with the correct buyer that managed like the chilled area. So I definitely recommend keeping an eye out for events. And then, yeah, there are websites as well for each of the places that you can kind of put your applications in. And then another kind of area that I try and always keep on top of and have personal goals for is around like our D2C channel. So our direct to consumer e-commerce website, which I have through Shopify. So I always look at our like website conversion rates and our average order sizes, and just seeing like what's happening there, the number of people who are visiting our website. Sometimes I make small tweaks and I'll kind of test and learn and see if that's making any difference to the conversion rates. And I'd really recommend Shopify because their data is like really, really great. You can break it down from any time frame that you want. And then lastly, I always try and kind of keep on top of our Instagram, and I check the insights there. So I'd say Instagram is probably the place where our customers find us. Out of all of the platforms, it's probably been the best for us. So I look at our kind of follower numbers, but also our engagement rates on the post. Even though engagement is coming down, I think across the board for everyone, it's getting harder and harder to get that like organic reach. But I'm always tracking that, seeing what kind of content is doing the best. Schedule in giveaways, so reach out to brands, or brands will reach out to us and kind of do like 2 or 3 brand giveaways probably every month or so. And then keeping on top of content creation and having like a calendar. It can be difficult. It can be easy for that to slip sometimes if you're not feeling like motivated or feeling that, I guess, engagement with making content. But if I'm feeling like it, I'll try and make as much as I can kind of on that day, film some stories, do some posts. And then I also, whenever I post on Instagram, I'll try and do a post on LinkedIn as well. If it's something that's like behind the scenes or about success about our business, I find that you get really good organic reach on LinkedIn, and the post seems to go like a lot further. People kind of connect with me through LinkedIn, having seen my post. So actually the Jiffy buyer, I think, found me through LinkedIn and just saw some of the posts and updates that I shared about my business there. And then he was looking at bringing in some new breakfast products, and that's how he found us. So I'd recommend like keeping that, keeping it like active on there and sharing updates about your business all the time. So those are probably like the key areas of the goals that I try and look at. So at the beginning of the year, I try and think about it, and then every so often I like check back in and see kind of how I'm doing compared to the goals I set.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that is definitely something that everyone's trying to keep on top of every day, isn't it? That regular posting and telling your story, and that in itself can be quite overwhelming. But like you said, there are little ways that you can make sure that you manage that by kind of, you know, when you're really feeling in the mood, make sure that you do a lot of it in that moment. And, you know, you can be inspired, I guess, by seeing that people are actually engaging with your posts and people are listening, and then that makes you kind of want to like push forward and keep going. Thanks, Lauren. That's all really, really useful. And I mean, Steph, this is some stuff, all kind of things that you work on as well. And you've actually spoken to us before about how when you first start a business, you start it with one kind of insight and one kind of goal, and then actually, as you learn more about your market and your audience through posting regularly, through looking at your stats and engagement, all that kind of information, then your goals can completely change. So if you could go back and kind of talk to yourself when you first started out, what kind of piece of advice would you give to help you kind of grow faster and get to where you are quicker?
I think it's really important to go with your gut when you're making decisions, and make a decision and work it through. And if it fails, at that point, change your mind. It's something that we suffered with Chu Lo. So the brand launched technically in November 19. And so if you look at through kind of like COVID, that gave us a lot of opportunity to kind of strategize and really niche down into who we're going for. And so you might have seen me getting absolutely panned by Gordon Ramsay about choosing the gaming market, but actually it's something I stand by, because it's something that was very interesting to me at the beginning. I attended all these accelerators, and the accelerators told me I needed to be less niche. And so I said, I want to go for the Gen Z gaming market because I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And they said it's too niche, the market's too small, you need to go bigger. And it's like, accelerators are great, but they're not always run by entrepreneurs. They're run by people from a bank or from an institution who have maybe a business degree, but have never actually started and run a business themselves. And so when someone says to you, it's like, your product's too niche, then that's when you need to throw it back to them and say, it depends who you're going for, because actually me giving my can of drink to someone like I don't know, Molly May, would probably be more damaging to the brand than giving it to someone like PewDiePie, who is a big gamer and YouTuber. So if you have like your cans in the wrong place, then it devalues your brand as a whole. And that's what happened to us. So we launched in November 19. November to May 20 was on fire. We had listings ready to go with Yo Sushi, Wasabi and Wagamama. And then as COVID happened, everything kind of shut down, all the POs got withdrawn, and we kind of stumbled through all these accelerators who were telling me that I needed to change my strategy and make it broader. And so I went into a load of pitching meetings for investment, and I was like, I'm trying to build a brand that's about Japanese inspired drinks, and it's for these people, and these people. And people are, and they're like, yeah, I like it, but it's not Coca-Cola. And the idea is saying, it's like, well, we're not Coca-Cola. It's like, but you're appealing to the same market as Coca-Cola, so you're not special. And there are a few like craft soft drinks that have managed to bring out a drink. It tastes great, it looks great, but it's not appealing to a market in particular, and they're kind of suffering. And so something that happened to us was I went on the Gordon Ramsay TV show, and we had this marketing strategy with a brand called Jellyfish, who are pretty specialist. And they said to me in no uncertain terms, it's like, if you go for the gaming sector, you'll be the only one in that sector. They're extremely loyal. And they basically gave me a full brand portfolio of something that I knew already. I'd said it in November 19 that I wanted to be just gamers. And and so we've gone back around to this point where it's like, right, we're doubling down on direct consumer, we're selling into gaming, we're getting influencers, we're running a Twitch channel, we've got this thing called Discord, which is like a forum for gamers. And it's like, and because it's quite a niche offering, the returns are a lot less risky. So we've just paid £100 for a gaming organization to have us on every stream. So a little box on every stream that they're going to be giving for the next 6 months will say Chu Lo drinks on it, and they get a discount code. And already we've seen kind of 10 orders overnight, and they haven't even started streaming yet. So like, whereas Facebook, £100 on Facebook ads won't get you very far. £100 in the gaming community, if you kind of get into your community and kind of build your brand from the community up, I think there's a lot more opportunity. And so I guess if I had my time again, I would have stuck to my guns and gone and been like, no, we're going niche. It's okay to go niche. There's still opportunity. And if you can convince the right people, like we've just closed an investment round, and one of the investors was like, here's my money. Like after a 10-minute call, he gave us 30 grand. We gave him an hour-long discussion. He gave us 100. It's like, if you have that niche, you will get to the right people. And if someone doesn't want to invest, or someone doesn't see the point, or thinks it's a bit rubbish, then maybe they just don't get it. And so keep trying it, find your market. I mean, like this weekend, we're at Manchester Anime and Gaming Convention, where I'm going to be selling Chu Lo drinks, and we'll clear about £3,000 in sales. And it's like, if you do that every weekend, it's like, if I was to sit in like Manchester Market on a Saturday, there's no way I'd hit £3,000. But it's about going to the right place where your audience is, and selling to them and getting their feedback. And so that's kind of a way that we've shifted our goals away from trying to please everybody, to actually just start with these guys, and then it'll grow. That's it.
Yeah, thanks, Steph. That's really interesting, because there's kind of two different approaches there, isn't there? Because you've got the kind of, you know, I guess going through all the channels of kind of Instagram and you know, Facebook, and making sure you're there and seen on all of those channels. But then behind the scenes, also kind of finding those niche places which aren't as obvious, where you know that you've got a market, you know that there's people who's going to be responsive to your brand, and like you say, just paying £100 to have your brand being shown to them constantly. And you know, I'm sure we've all easily spent £100 on Facebook, so you know, it's really great kind of advice, I guess, for people who are thinking kind of, where do I start? Lauren, you spoke earlier about how you used Fiverr early on to hire, and you know, hiring can be really expensive. So you know, we're talking about how people can kind of access that talent, and maybe you don't have to kind of hire someone full time. You could bring people in kind of part time, depending on what projects it is that you need them to work on. So how did that work for you at Oatsu, and how do you kind of hire effectively but make sure that you keep costs down early on?
Yeah, so that's been like probably the main, I don't know, struggle or challenge that I'm always thinking about, is like, yeah, how am I going to kind of get the help that I need? I can't do everything myself. Like, I'm sure a lot of you guys, like, no, you just can't do every single thing. What really did help was the government Kickstart scheme that ran up until like December or so. That was really great, and I had 2 hires through that, where the government pays the business for them to work on a minimum wage, and you kind of pay them, and then you're paid back. And I had 2 girls working for me, and they were helping with marketing and social media, and they were a great help. So they had a 6-month placement, each of them, one after another. So that was fantastic. And then I do also recently have hired like a virtual assistant, remote worker through DigiWorks, and they match startups with kind of remote workers, and they can work on anything. So they help with admin and booking our courier, managing emails, things like that. And I've also seen some kind of internships and apprenticeship schemes. So there's like one called London Apprenticeships, where someone, I think up to the age of 24, can help you for a couple of weeks. And I think you as a business are paid £750 a few months after the completion of their apprenticeship. I haven't done that yet, but I'm considering taking advantage and kind of getting involved in that scheme soon. And then, yeah, as you've mentioned, Fiverr, if I need something done really quickly, so really quick, simple graphic design, or initially the Shopify setup. After they did set up the Shopify store, I then like managed it and changed it myself as I got more confident and comfortable. But just setting it up initially, I think I just had absolutely no idea what I was doing. So they helped me just get started. And then I changed it myself from there. And then so in terms of graphic design, aside from Fiverr, we had a rebrand recently for Oatsu. So our overnight oats kind of got some new labels, really bright and colourful, that show like the flavours and the ingredients. That actually came about through the Food Hub. So there was some designers who were leaving an agency, and they were looking for startups to support to help build their portfolio, because they were setting up their own smaller agency. And so they needed some, I guess, examples. So they did the initial work free of charge. And then since then, they've kind of helped here and there if I need any amendments or when I'm bringing out new flavors. And so now I'm working with them like on a paid basis. But that was a really great help, because I was speaking to design agencies, and it was going into the tens of thousands, which I just couldn't believe. And it's a lot for a startup. So I'd recommend everyone to like join communities, join Facebook groups, look out for opportunities as much as you can. I know it can take time to sift through them, but yeah, I just try and keep on top of as much as you can across like Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. And then another opportunity came about in terms of making some small changes to our Shopify store to increase our conversion rates. And that was, so the Bread and Jam Festival is coming up in July, and there was a kind of Shopify agency who again wanted a startup to, they wanted to do a little bit of work on your website to see if they could increase the conversion rate, and they needed it to show at the show as like an example. And just because I'd attended an event where that person had been speaking like a couple of months ago, and he remembered me when I did apply, he was happy to kind of, yeah, offer that opportunity to me as well as some others. So I think it just backs up the point to try and be present, speak to as many people as you can, and it definitely helps you probably like, yeah, get more opportunities. Even though it takes time out of your schedule in the evening, I'd say just try and get out there even if you don't feel like it. So yeah, those are probably all the tips I have around hiring cost effectively.
Thanks, Lauren. Just to let people know, because I think we had some people join us a bit late, so we're going to just run over slightly today because we were due to finish at 2:30, but we've got a couple more questions, and we've had some questions come in from the audience. So we definitely want to kind of make sure that we ask those to you guys while we've got you here. Steph, I'm going to come to you because, I mean, Lauren's obviously talked about how, you know, Oatsu have used a variety of different types of people to work on different projects, whether that's part-time or full-time. How have you done the same for Chu Lo? Have you used freelancers? And kind of what advice would you have for other founders who are thinking of doing the same?
Yeah, 100%. I've used extra people. I've had to. So I only quit my job officially in October last year. So one piece of advice I do have is don't quit your job until you've got proof of concept. Whether that be on a market or kind of from ad, like something on Facebook, like finding research, find something that validates your business first. Clearly, business is validated, time to invest in a team. Clearly, my biggest piece of advice is don't pay for something that you can do better yourself. The reason being, we've again made some mistakes. So we hired a marketing agency who did kind of our Facebook ad spend and a couple of graphic design pieces for us. And it cost quite a lot of money, especially like it was kind of like in the thousands for 3 months. And I liked their graphic design work, but their cost per click was coming out at half the rate I did on my own using a YouTube tutorial. So I spent more time analysing their data and picking holes in the presentations that they sent us on a monthly basis than it would have actually taken me to do that thing that I'd paid them to do in the first place. So the kind of emotional burden on I'm paying someone to do a job and I could do it better myself, here's all the evidence that I've got together. It's like, why have I just spent 2 hours agonizing over these people who are taking my money when I could have just done it myself and saved the money? So likewise with sales, the best person to sell your product is you. I've yet to meet a sales agency amongst all the startups I've met. I've spoken to loads of people. I said, what do you think about sales agencies? And they're expensive, and the best person to sell your product is you, because you've got the story, you've got the passion, and it shows like, and you can give someone a script and they can go through the words, but the passion is in behind your eyes and behind your words in the emails. So do it yourself is what I would say for sales. And things that I'm not very good at, I'm rubbish at finances. Genuinely think I lost the TV show because my finances were so bad. Like, we had to go through a set of due diligence, and I basically gave him a napkin with some numbers on it. So the first thing I paid for when I had a little bit of money was an accountant and a bookkeeper, and it costs about £200 a month, but the peace of mind and the amount of sleep I get knowing that the numbers are going to be okay at the end of the month is massive. And so find out what you're not very good at and find someone that is better at it than you, and do it that way. It's like, you might not like sales, but if you're good at it, do sales yourself. So I outsource financing. And I've just made my first hire. So Laura is a logistics lady, and she thinks in straight lines, and she helps move pallets up and down the country every week. So if there's a problem, if there's a customer that hasn't got their parcel on time, as a direct consumer business, it's really important to have that customer care. So she is our customer care and customer journey representative. And it just means that we have an impeccable record on Google. Like, our reviews are all 5 stars. And you can see when another brand, even like big massive brands, don't respond to people who are having issues, they'll get these 1-star ratings, and that can really damage your business. So I agree with Lauren, virtual assistants, someone to check the emails and make sure the customers are happy is the most important thing. And then everything else, kind of play to your strengths, do what you're good at, and then outsource what you're not good at, because doing the finances would take me probably 10 hours a week, and it takes a bookkeeper 2. So that level of 8 hours of my time is worth more than £200 to pay for a bookkeeper.
Thanks, Steph. That really kind of like makes sense how you think about it. Like, if you can do it better, do it yourself. If there's something you can't do, it's going to take you too long to do it. So think of the amount of money that's going to be worth to you, and pay someone else to do it. That we've actually had a question along those lines that's come in from the audience about, you said congratulations, you've just hired your first hire. So this person wanted to know, at what point did you know when to recruit your first team members and what kind of job roles they would have? So I guess for you, Steph, that was kind of logistical. And Lauren, you mentioned having Kickstarter staff working on kind of marketing and social media, but Steph didn't have such a great experience initially with marketing. So how's that worked for you?
It worked really well. I actually found that having the like team member there in person with me at the co-working space really helped, so that we could do like the marketing stuff together, so that it was, I guess, on brand and how I wanted it, with our socials and how our emails look and the wording and how it, I think I'm a bit of a control freak with that. I think a lot of us could probably relate. So we'd work on it together. They'd like help create reels, edit images, write the caption, or if there's like PR opportunities that I see but I haven't got time to like write a response to it, they could help with that. But I found kind of doing it in person was really helpful. And now that their placements have come to an end, I'm thinking about hiring someone. Sorry about the background noise, by the way. I'm thinking about hiring someone kind of full-time as like a marketing assistant to kind of be there with me and do a similar role, because now it's back on my plate. I'm finding it hard to find the time to do that. So I'd say when you're struggling and you know that like the things that you need to get done are just like not getting done because you don't have the time, I'd say that's when it's time to start thinking about how you can hire, maybe put out a job ad online and just see what kind of inquiries and responses you're getting, and maybe do some interviews and see if you're happy with anyone.
Definitely. Thanks. I think that's kind of all the time we've got for questions. We did have a couple more come in, but thank you guys so much. And yeah, definitely think about, you mentioned kind of Kickstarter, so schemes that you can tap into to help you hire as well, funding that's available, and then things like, as I mentioned earlier, the competition that we've got going, so you can win a kind of £1,000 to spend on talent for your business. So if you're looking for somebody to kind of do marketing or social media or graphic design, whatever it is, you can kind of currently win that through Fiverr. Just share a clip on your social media and tag us, sharing kind of what you would spend that money on. Just has to be kind of 20 seconds on your social media accounts, and you got till the 5th of July. Thank you both so much, guys. As Lauren and Steph both mentioned, they were also entrants to the pitch last year. The pitch I mentioned earlier, but I think some of you might have missed it, is the UK's largest startup competition. We are running regional finals across the country. If you enter, it takes 10 minutes. You can find all the information on our website at thepitch.uk. As I say, it takes 10 minutes, and then you're part of our community. You'll get access to all the information and advice that Steph and Lauren have, and support, and you may even go on to pitch at one of our finals. So get your applications in. You've got till the 31st of July for that. Thank you so much to Fiverr for supporting our event today. I should also mention that we do have even if you don't win £1,000, you can get 10% off on Fiverr until the end of the year using the code THEPITCH10. Again, you can find the information about that on our website, so I should mention that. So anyone who's looking to get access to kind of freelance talent can use that and get 10% off. Thank you so much, Steph and Lauren. I wish I could have more time and ask you so many more questions, but your advice has been fantastic today. Keep an eye out. We're going to be doing more events like this. We'll be telling you more about that very, very soon. Talking about things like more about recruitment, about kind of developing your MVP, developing your ideas, and we'll have more amazing guests for you to hear all their advice. So thanks again for your time, guys, and take care. Thank you for joining us. Bye.